Okay, welcome back, everybody, and a happy new year to all our listeners and viewers here on Talking Transformation, the Apple Door podcast. Building autonomous networks is ultimately about building software. More specifically, it's about building and integrating software. Our experience tells us there are better and worse ways to go about doing that, with numerous trade-offs between speed of development, cost, long-term maintainability, and flexibility of any delivered solution. Autonomous networks represent immensely complex software systems, and how telcos and integrators go about that has huge implications. Everyone's end goal might well be simplicity, but how can you design that in within the integration process itself? And what are the benefits of getting it right, or the downsides and the penalties of getting it wrong? That's the topic of a new report by my colleagues, Grant Lenahan and Shanthi Ravindran, principal analysts here at Apple Door. Hi, Grant. Hi, Shanthi.
Hi,
Good
Robert.
morning, Robert. Good morning, Shanthi.
Morning.
Good to see you both again. 2026 is going to be a very interesting year, I think. And some of the topics we're going to talk about here are going to feature quite strongly in that. Grant, this new report you've written is called Simplicity by Design. What was your starting thesis in developing the research note?
You did such a good job on the introduction. I'll sort of, answer the second level of detail on that. Autonomous networks and autonomous network software is a very, very different construct than we've done in the past. And one of its great advantages is, even though it is very complex software, as you said, the net result should be much, much simpler operations. And actually, one of the results should be very little need for actual labor to do point-to-point integration, match-up models, et cetera. We realize, though, that this is a knife that cuts both ways. There's both a great opportunity and a great threat, both to systems integrators and to CSPs, after they buy software, select software, even build software, and go to deploy it. And we wanted to go through why that is so and talk about some of those threats and benefits, which turn out to be real opportunities for a lot of SIs. And I think it's more in the range of threats for CSPs who might not get the full benefit if they don't really pay attention to doing integration differently than they've assumed integration was in the past. In fact, I'd go so far as to say systems integration is the wrong word for this. It's really about implementing a new operating model with new software. Sorry to give you a long answer to a short question. But.
No, it's a good answer, and it's one of the things I know from the report. I think that you're trying to highlight to some degree is this isn't just another form of the same thing. It's actually something different by nature. Autonomous networks changed this picture somewhat. I mean, to try to cut to the chase, is this the end of systems integration as we know it? I mean, is that what we're looking at? Is that what autonomous networks mean? Is that or is that kind of too simplistic a conclusion to draw here?
End of systems integration? No. End of systems integration as we know it? I hope so. and I think the SIs will hope so.
Yeah, that's certainly a change. What about on the CSP side? Is this also kind of a big change? It's sort of alluded to some difference there, but how big a change is looking at autonomous networks and the integration process from a CSP perspective?
I think we've been looking backward for some time, and in some reports that we've written, we called out that in buying new network automation software, as we call sort of the looking forward autonomous taxonomy, one of the issues that stands in the way of success has been inertia in the purchasing process. Old requirements, old assumptions, the idea that you could purchase one system without considering the decisions you've made in other systems, the idea that you can specify exactly what information will be passed over interfaces. So I think there is a huge impact on CSPs. I think they need to unlearn decades of very well learned
Mm.
expertise and rethink that. And I fear that some of the folks involved in that have not been involved in autonomy, the transformation of the network, a lot of the thinking that's gone into that. So I think it could be very, very disruptive. On the other hand, if those lessons are taken on board, it can actually simplify the process a lot. So
Yeah,
I don't know what Shanthi thinks of that. She's been working with some of the CSPs fairly directly.
Yeah, I think the key is that we all know, including the CSPs, that there is a lot at stake, and this is an opportunity for everybody to do less in the space, but to achieve more in the long run. So there's a lot of attention being paid to it, which is a good thing. So with this report, we hope to focus this attention in the right direction as we see it.
And just adding a little color to that, when I was at the TM Forum event in Dallas, I led one of the afternoon sessions, and we had quite a few, both CSPs and their systems integrators, in general, pairs on stage, talking about deployment of agentic AI. A little bit different topic, but the same question was being asked. It was, how do we implement a completely different process that delivers automation? And what struck me is that they were really partnering to approach the problem differently. But it took a partnership.
Yeah.
This was not we gave it to procurement. Procurement, looked at the RFPs and selected one using its time-honored metrics. This was very much a partnership of, we're going to work through this together. So I think that may be one of the differences. And I know Shanthi kept emphasizing that partnership word as we crafted the document and steered me back to it if I veered off course.
Yeah. Shanthi, do you see from your experience, again, where you have kind of closest proximity, I know you've been to some of the events in Asia as well, you see that language of partnership and collaboration coming through from the integrators working with telcos in the region?
Yes, definitely. And the good thing about it is that they are already in this mode to a great extent, especially systems integrators, because they have been doing cloud, AI, data, process automation for CSPs for a long time. So they have been in this ecosystem. They live and breathe this ecosystem. So now it is an opportunity for them because data is very close to intent. Without shared data and data models across services networks, it's not possible to implement these interfaces. And the SIs sort of know their way around this data. So that's a big asset for them. That's a second big asset for them. The third one would be that these interfaces are something that has been their bread and butter for a long time. They've been implementing point-to-point interfaces, process interfaces, and operational interfaces, functional interfaces, a lot of these. They've been building adapters for vendors' products to talk to each other. So they also know that to move this interface up to the next level is part of their work. And that's what they have been looking at as well. So those are the three very key points in their favor. So we do hope that CSPs will grab this opportunity and move themselves forward to a longer partnership. Being part of the ecosystem, we see them moving forward in proof of concepts and also in focused deployments. And we see them creating assets, test labs, plug tests, and productized services, and so on. And so with a strategy to looking at a longer partnership rather than discrete projects, looking at a pre-day zero, post-day two partnership, sort of a continuum rather than per project relationship.
Interesting. Yeah, it's areas you're exploring here. I mean, we often talk about some of the structural implications for autonomy of most networks, on some of the network operations side of things. You're both referencing some of the wider structural changes in terms of how companies engage with their suppliers and change those relationships away from the norm that we've been used to, both from a commercial as well as a technical point of view, into something new. And yeah, now it seems to be the right time. There's a lot of pressure building, I think, around autonomous network momentum, at least, uh, to force this change, at least encourage it. Can I just ask one other kind of question for both of you? You put simplicity in the title of the report. Um, can you just give a little bit of color around what you mean by simplicity? That might sound an obvious question. What I mean is, I'm trying to understand uh, what does a simpler integration look like ultimately? Is it fewer moving parts? Is it easier to update, or how would you characterize kind of the end goal of simplicity? Shanti, maybe you would
Yeah.
offer a view first.
Yeah. For me, simplicity means that it should be simpler to maintain in the long run for the CSP, less effort, more cost effective, but also it should be possible to build it into an automation pipeline. So building it into an automation pipeline seems very simple or very simplistic objective at the start. But if you look at it, this is something that can even take them towards better investment strategies, because it's part of a life cycle upgrade. That means it has to be done. Investment has to come in. So it has far-reaching implementations, this kind of automation that it can implement, and that's why simplicity is important.
Sure. Grant, anything you'd like to add in terms of parameterizing simplicity, if that's not so too abstract an idea?
Yeah, I totally agree with Shanti. It's not the integration process that gets simpler. It's the operations process after implementation that gets simpler. And, I like to maybe be a little bombastic in saying the tests of reintegration that we do every time we make a change should really go away. I mean, not get reduced, go away.
Mm.
Right? Um, the the job of lining up interface A to interface B and making sure that the semantics and the syntax are all there should just go away, right? Completely. And, you could say, wow, this sounds bad. But, as we go into in the report, it actually could be really good for all involved.
Mm.
But the big point I wanted to make in terms of simplicity and why getting there might be hard and non-intuitive if you're thinking sort of in the traditional mode is if we think about things that we have said badly about legacy OSS, we use words like silos.
Mm.
And remember, Silo had a good side to it. It was self-contained. Right? You said, look, we got a new service. We want to have, automated path selection and facility assignment for consumer broadband. And you got a system, built a few things together, and you built the entire end-to-end service right into that, including reaching out and touching the billing system and saying, start Shanti's bill. In an autonomous network hierarchy, you don't build everything into one system.
Mhm.
You've got cross-domain orchestration where the end-to-end service resides, and you may have anywhere from 1 to, I don't know, like 10 smaller systems where pieces of that reside. So you need to think about the end-to-end system and how you'd engineer it. And I think it's very different. You spend less time trying to get the final end-to-end instance created and a lot more time saying, hey, let's pre-wire these things together so that they're programmable. And, without us spending the next 4 hours, debating the contents of the report, I think that's a mindset that is not only important to change, but kind of hard to change because it means that if I run Department A and Robert's running Department B and Shanti's running Department C, when Shanti puts in new software, she needs to consult us and we need to spend time on something that isn't, quote, in our remit.
Mm.
It is a very, very different organizational and technological process.
Great. Sounds like there's a lot in this report for people to get their heads around and tune into, and very important topics for us this year. Are you going to be, through the rest of the year, continuing some of these themes that we've been exploring in this conversation and in the report? Grant, maybe talk about some of the things you got coming up through the year thematically.
Well, let Shanthi add to that as well, but the quick answer is yes. In fact, I've got a report in process right now that I'm looking at another one of these synergies that comes from it being a system.
Okay.
Because the industry is looking at how do we get into verticals, how do we, monetize APIs, and what do you know? Autonomy is a key part of that as well. And if you get that right, you get simplicity in how you enter new revenue generating markets. So we're looking at that, and I know Shanthi has a bunch of sort of, I'd call them the corollary ideas to this that we omitted from the report so that it didn't become a market outlook. And I expect we're going to be following up on, but maybe she can hit on some of those topics.
Yeah. So first, we are going to be delving deeper into specific network areas like mobile networks with market outlooks and profiles, and we are also going to be looking deeper into the process around this. That is where what Grant mentioned comes in. Because it takes up across a broader scope. How do people implement autonomy itself? Where is the starting point? Where is the ending point, etc. And we are also planning to write, as we delve deeper into the systems integration, we are planning to look at how the success indicators of projects change. We all know about transformation projects, and we did a recent case study at Indosat Ooredoo Hutchison in Indonesia. Indonesia is a very populous, spread out country, and they were actually merging two of the largest operators. They didn't implement a specifically intent, but when they took us through what they did, we could identify things they did there that could help us. For example, they brought together the planning, deployment, and operations teams to look at key success indicators every step of the way. It's not after the project, it's not before the project. Every step, lockstep, they were going at this. So I think because we have a lot of moving pieces in this system integration, these kind of attitudes and mindsets are important. And we are hoping to see many of these cases coming up. So if you have something that you have implemented that is key to this story, please do reach out to us. We are interested in capturing your case studies. And these are important for the whole industry to move forward. So everybody has a part to play in this.
Sure. Yeah, there's a lot of learning going on, and I think it's a reminder we're in a global business, and there's lots of opportunity to share knowledge and experience in these kind of frontier areas, automation, autonomy, intent, and so on. Excellent. Okay, I think that's about our time up for today. Thank you both very much for sharing that context with us. And yeah, I encourage listeners, viewers to check out that report, Simplicity by Design, just published at Appledore Research. Thank you both very much.
Thanks so much,
Thank
Robert.
you, Shanthi. Thank you, Robert.
Thanks, Grant. Bye.